Bill O'Reilly here, Wednesday, February 24th, 2021. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Here's what's happening today in America. Congress holding hearings on the Capitol Hill Riots. COVID cases rise in Western Europe. Liberal New Yorkers turn on Governor Cuomo. Leaders in Tacoma, Washington cancel Benjamin Franklin. Economists rank the most taxed cities in the USA. Also ahead, if you take drugs, I have a message for you. But first, top law enforcement officials describing to Congress a cascade of intelligence failures before the January 6th riot in Washington. According to former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund, an FBI memo claiming some demonstrators were actively preparing for war made it to his intelligence division at 7 p.m. the night before the insurrection. But the police chief didn't see the information. We don't know why. COVID hammering Western Europe once again. Leaders in France, Germany, Sweden struggling to contain outbreaks as new strains of the disease spread. Stockholm recommending new mask mandates after shunning protective gear for almost a year. A new poll from Marist says New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is in big trouble. 6 in 10 say there was wrongdoing in his handling of the state's nursing homes during the pandemic. About 15,000 senior citizens in New York died in those homes. 41% of New Yorkers believe his actions were unethical, 19% illegal. Cuomo's overall approval rating dropping to 49%, down 17 points. San Francisco may have abandoned its drive to purge historical figures from public schools, but the movement is alive further up the West Coast. Officials in Washington state scrubbing Ben Franklin's name from a 20-acre park in Tacoma. City leaders will rededicate the grounds to Rosa Franklin, the first African-American woman to serve in the Washington State Senate. Forbes magazine ranking the highest tax cities in America. Number 1, Los Angeles. The city has $1.5 billion in payroll costs alone. Folks there earning $100,000 take home half of their salary. Lowest tax towns, Rapid City, South Dakota, Cheyenne, Wyoming, better known as God's country. In a moment, using drugs, is it bad? Right back. As you know, Joe Biden has won the election, and with economic uncertainty looming, I am now more than ever recommending you diversify with gold and silver. The only company I recommend is American Hartford Gold. I trust them. I personally have done business with them. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA, and they make it easy. Please call them now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Since I've been recommending American Hartford Gold, gold itself up over 40%, silver up 60%. So don't wait. Call them now, 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD or text GOLD to 65532. Time now for the O'Reilly Update. Message of the day: is taking drugs, including pot, bad? Well, if you believe the stats, it is. Listen to this from the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control. 1 in 5 American children, that's 20%, live with a parent who has a substance abuse problem. 80% of all child abuse cases in the USA involve adults who are intoxicated. Children are 3 times as likely to be neglected in homes where parents use drugs. Half of all unemployed men in America use opioids. Half. More than 400,000 people have died from drug overdoses in recent years. Yet, 13 states have now legalized marijuana for recreational drug use, sending a strong signal to children that pot is just fine. Nothing wrong with that. And in crazy left Oregon, hard drugs, heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl, cocaine are now acceptable. You can carry them on your person in Oregon, and the police can do nothing. Simply put, all of this is insane. So you may remember that in the 1930s and the 1920s, there was prohibition in America. Alcohol was banned, and it did not work because most Americans wanted to drink. So ultimately, alcohol was legalized. That was called prohibition. But there is a difference between consuming a beer, a glass of wine, and then taking heroin or smoking a joint. The goal of drugs is to numb you, intoxicate you, get you high, alter your state of mind. Now, I lived in a home. My parents, they drank once in a while. They were drinking beer a little bit, wine, but I never saw them drunk. And my father could drink a bottle of beer and not be altered in any ways. But I never saw anybody in my Levittown, New York neighborhood take drugs until I was about 16 years old. Then they swept in, and I'm talking heroin. And a lot of kids got in big trouble. So now, as a society, we're saying, this drugs thing, that's not so bad. Well, who do you think is living on the streets of all of our cities? Homeless, desperate. Who do you think those people are? They're drug addicts, they're alcoholics. And we're glorifying this. We're telling children, it's okay, you want to get stoned, go ahead. This is going to harm the United States of America down the road in a major way. It already has. Taking drugs is bad. I'm Bill O'Reilly, and I approve the message. By writing it, disagree, I'd like to hear from you. Bill@BillO'Reilly.com. In a moment, something you might not know. Could COVID cost you your home? Cybercrime up 75%. And the most serious of all is home title theft. Bill O'Reilly here for Home Title Lock. That's right, cyber criminals, foreign and domestic, are after our homes, and it's easier than you think. Title documents to our homes are online now. The thief finds your home's title, forges your signature on a quitclaim deed stating you sold your home to him. Then he takes out loans on your home and leaves you in debt. You wouldn't even know it happening until late payment or eviction notices arrive. Insurance doesn't cover you, neither do common identity theft programs. That's why I protect my home with Home Title Lock. The instant Home Title Lock detects someone tampering with my home's title, they shut it down. So please go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim. Then use code RADIO to receive 30 free days of protection. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com, HomeTitleLock.com. Now the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 30 years ago today, the armed forces of the United States and 35 other nations launched a land invasion of Kuwait and Iraq. The mission would go down as one of the most successful military campaigns in history, Operation Desert Storm. On August 2nd, 1990, Saddam Hussein's Iraqi army invaded Kuwait, a tiny oil-rich country and strategic ally of Europe and the USA. 3 months later, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution authorizing the use of force against Iraq if it failed to withdraw from Kuwait by January 15, 1991. Saddam ignored the deadline, telling his top aides the U.S. was bluffing. He said, quote, "American society cannot accept 10,000 dead in one battle. They will not attack," unquote. The next day, American and British forces launched a 6-week air campaign against Iraq. More than 100,000 tons of bombs were dropped on targets surrounding Baghdad. On February 24th, a massive ground offensive began. Saddam's forces were rapidly overwhelmed. In less than 24 hours, the Iraqi army was totally defeated. 10,000 troops were held as prisoners, and a U.S. air base was established deep inside Iraqi territory. 4 days later, Kuwait was liberated. President Bush the Elder declared a ceasefire on February 28th. Iraq promised to comply with all future UN resolutions, a promise Saddam broke. 125 American soldiers and roughly 50,000 Iraqi troops were killed in Desert Storm. And here's something else you might not know. The operation was not only the most successful military campaign in U.S. history, toppling an entire army in less than 100 hours, but it was also one of the largest global coalitions ever assembled. Countries from every continent except Antarctica participated in the mission to liberate Kuwait, including Argentina, Australia, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, Ireland, Turkey, and Sweden. By the way, your humble correspondent was on the scene in Kuwait, reporting from the so-called Highway of Death shortly after the Iraqis surrendered. Back after this. Attention savvy investors, Bill O'Reilly here. Want predictable monthly cash flow? Is a 10% annualized immediate monthly payout good for starters? How about bonuses targeted to 21%? If you want the safety and security of a real estate investment, but without the hassles of being a landlord, you have probably heard of NRIA. NRIA is an industry-leading real estate development firm now in its 15th year, developing strategically located, low-risk, high-demand neighborhoods based on supply-demand imbalance. They are a great fit for safety-oriented investors who want cash flow and diversification into carefully chosen real estate. Learn more about NRIA Real Estate Development Fund at nria.net, or please call 800-800-1414. That's 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.